Thank you very much for joining us on Joy News today. Executive Director of Legal Aid Scheme AY Saini has called for trained paralegals to be stationed at police stations across the country to facilitate efficient and effective delivery of justice. He was speaking at the launch of a week-long program by Legal Aid Scheme under the theme Access to Criminal Justice, the Role of Paralegals. Latif Idrisus then joins us for more. Latif, so what more did the Executive Director of Legal Aid say?
Yeah, Francisca, this is the fifth legal aid week, and we have to put that on record. Now, what Mr. Yahya, that is Al-Hassan Yahya, saying, he's the Executive Director of Legal Aid, he's been touching on a number of issues. One of them has to do with the fact that there is a need for the Ghana Bar Association to consider, putting paralegals at the various police stations across the country to help in the swift delivery of justice, as it were. One of the issues he also raised has to do with the fact that if we have these paralegals at the police stations, it will bring down the work of the professionally trained lawyers who have to stress themselves going back and forth to the police station and back to the court. The paralegals would then take the role of dealing with the police officers directly, and that the professionally trained lawyers would then have to stick to work at the court, Francisca.
But if the issue of low salaries for the staff of the legal aid scheme come up?
Yeah, that is the issue. I would like to speak to the chief executive about this because that's not the main focus of this. We know that some of the members, the paralegals, they've threatened to embark on a strike action. That is one of the issues I'm going to raise with the direct chief executive of these paralegals here.
Very well, you do that and get back to us. That's Latif Idrisu speaking to us. Now, more than 80% of parliamentarians are corrupt. Some even go to the extent of demanding bribes for their girlfriends. Now, that comment is attributed to the former rector of GIMPA, Professor Stephen Adai, and it seems to have gotten members of parliament angry. Yesterday, MP for Adansi Asokwa, Katie Hammond, described the comments as foolish and scandalous, threatening to haul Professor Adai to Parliament's Privileges Committee. Today on News Desk, Member of Parliament for Okere constituency, Dan Botre, expressed similar sentiments, describing the comments by Professor Adai as irresponsible. He adds that the former GIMPA rector must be made to provide basis for his comments before Parliament.
Now, why people think that they are the only holy people on earth? What's the meaning of that? Yes, people are corrupt. Yes, corruption is a major problem in the country, and that we should deal with it. We all agree to that. But things don't go and therefore scandalize everybody, and make everybody so that everybody is guilty of corruption. So once choose to serve their country, then everybody is corrupt. I am not corrupt. I will never be corrupt. I cannot be corrupt.
So you do admit that
I don't see why you should go ahead and make that statement. We don't have any fact that there's corruption in the country, and we should all put in our effort to make sure we end corruption. I have no problem with that. But don't go and say 80% are corrupt, and then go ahead and talk about asking gifts for their girlfriends. How can you say that? I'm a member of parliament. So when you say that, I travel throughout the country, I travel outside the country, that is the present people should have about me, just because I have elected myself to serve the country. Anybody I talk can insult me just because I'm serving the country. Why do you do that?
So, Mr. Botre, from what you say,
people respect themselves. They should also think that others also respect themselves. You understand? If you have any reason to believe that if I even 1%, once you are putting percentage, you know specific, report such people to the appropriate authority for them to be sanctioned. Don't just go on ahead and just open your mouth and then scandalize everybody. So it's unacceptable.
So you think the professor was irresponsible with his comments?
Very irresponsible comment. It's an anchor to me, but it's a very irresponsible comment. And if you have to retract and apologize, how could he have seen all this while and have not made any effort to report to anybody? 80% is once you put percentage rate, maybe that you have evidence, you have facts to support what they are saying. And why have you witnessed 80% of Ghanaians, politicians, and members of parliament being corrupt, and you are not taking any action? Why? When did they start? When did you get to know this? When did you start to telling the number of people are corrupt? And when you got to 80%, it was not fighting enough for me to report it to the appropriate authority. Why did you scandalize everybody?
Okay, so your problem has to do with the figures he's putting out, the 80%, but you do admit that a section of your colleagues are actually corrupt.
A section of media people may be corrupt. A section of people talking to you from multimedia may be corrupt. A section of people anywhere may be corrupt. That's the issue. Now, when you say politicians, members of parliament, and you are talking of 80%, why have you not reported it? Again, what is the evidence? How can any member of parliament say that? I mean, what are members of the public taking pride to do was asked that when you send a bill to parliament, for it to be passed in law, did they take money from you? What answer did he give? Did anybody take money from you? Okay. If nobody did, why does he think that somebody else did in the case of another person? I'm unable to put it together. My brother, he has to come and prove it. He will have to come and prove it. But in this case, he has made specific allegations. He has quoted 80%, and they said that 80 asked for their girlfriend. On the assumption everybody has a girlfriend, and therefore they keep on asking to not for their wives, but they ask for their girlfriend. These are basic statements subjected to theoretical. Do you know what it means?
Away from corruption, let's go to energy. Now, policy analyst with Africa Center for Energy Policy, Dr. Ishmael Aka, says non-payment of debts by the Electricity Company of Ghana is the main reason Ghana owes Nigeria gas. Now, he explained that what has become a huge debt could have been managed better. He was speaking earlier on the AM show.
I think it's been there for some time now, about 3 years to 4 years. Just that I think it's incremental. I mean, 10 million today, another 5 tomorrow, and we've added them to this. But it is not just Ghana owing Nigeria. I think that the issue is all with them. In fact, the issue is ECG. Nigeria brings the gas through the West African gas pipeline. They sell to VRA. They sell some, VRA also sell some of the gas to Asogli. They produce power and sell to ECG. The essence is that ECG is the official off-taker. So ECG sells the power and they should pay for what was generated. I mean, this is very normal mathematics. However, ECG sells and cannot pay VRA. ECG sells and cannot pay Asogli. And there are two reasons for this. One, the government and several agencies, subvented agencies, they use this power and they don't pay. So I think as of March 2015, the government alone owed ECG 1.2 billion new cedis. Now when you convert this to old cedis, I mean, you add several zeros. That is one. Another one is also what we call the technical and commercial losses. There are individuals who also use light, they don't pay, illegal connection and some of these things. So this is the issue we are facing now. So
it's not Ghana owing Nigerian gas that amount of money, but it's ECG.
Yeah, Ghana owes Nigeria more like, but what in essence ECG is owing all those amounts.
So ECG is owing the power generators that amount of money.
Yes. And the generators owe Ghana Gas that amount, and Ghana Gas owes Nigeria. It's a chain. So if we want to pay, then ECG should pay VRA and pay Asogli. Asogli has to pay Ghana Gas, and Ghana Gas, West African Gas Pipeline, and they have to also pay Nigeria. Yeah. In the past, I mean, government had subvented a lot of institutions. I mean, bring your bill and we'll pay. And we also have this, ECG is a state-owned company. The government is the only shareholder. So that's our company. It's the normal, it's for government, it's for Ghana. So we use it and we don't pay. And ECG was not going after them. Recently they did that, and I think they've recovered about 10%, 95 million cedis. Went to disconnect Koforidua Polytechnic and some other institutions, which is very good. And I think they should continue doing that. In the past, we were not doing it because these are state institutions, and when you tie them, the government will come in. And for some reasons, ECG will also go back. And if they want additional money, what they will do is probably increase tariffs for consumers to pay. So this has been the issue, that government institutions are untouchable, so they use. But I think the finance ministry started something, that if they are allocating monies to these institutions, they add a percentage for your utilities. Unfortunately, they get the monies and still don't pay the electricity bill. So I don't know what is happening, but I think ECG should be bold enough to disconnect, whether even if it is the presidential palace, they should disconnect them.
After sailing through the vetting process successfully, the MP for Hull West, Emmanuel has launched his campaign with a rally at Jolo Buita. Emmanuel Bejra, who is contesting 4 others for a spot on the tickets of the NDC, is hopeful that the constituents will give him the opportunity to continue representing them in Parliament. The majority leader in Parliament, Alban Bagbin, who launched the parliamentary campaign for Emmanuel Bejra, asked the NDC aspirants to adhere to clean politics and conduct their campaigns and rallies devoid of insults and backbiting. He added that the practice of clean politics would enhance the NDC's chances of a successful November 7 primaries.
Politics is about consensus building. It's not about voting. It's about consensus building. It's when you fail to build the consensus that you put it to vote. And that is why I am commending Black region for reaching consensus on many of their constituencies, particularly the sitting MPs. We are aware of the quality of human resource in the Volta region. Yes, you have a man, you have a woman. But please, God has created so much things in the world. If you look within yourself, you will enjoy life. But if you're always looking at what somebody has, I can bet you, even when you get there, you will enjoy it. As a leader, I share, and I'll be able to lead because I've been there one of the longest. That is why I'm the leader. And as a leader, I decide which seat you should sit in Parliament. And when you come there as level 100, you will sit behind the pillar. I know that some of my colleagues come to complain. And I study them. When I study them and see a good material, I change the sitting place. That is what we do. Parliament is not for children. I know the people contesting honorable, your MP. I know the lawyer. I am a senior to him.
On that political note, let's take a break on Joy News Today. We'll be back. Hello again to Joy News Today. Some victims of the June 3 flood and fire disaster at Kwame Nkrumah Circle in Accra have been given a lifeline by the Multimedia Group Limited. Nearly 200,000 Ghana cedis was contributed by multimedia viewers and listeners, and it's being disbursed to nearly 300 victims selected on the basis of their needs to restart their businesses. Now, Joy News spoke to some of them at the SG Ghana office in Kokomlemle.
Actually, all my things, I lost my telly, my deck, and all my furniture. Even the place where I work I sell MTN cars. The store all my things have gone away. So I thank Joy for this opportunity. So I'll add the money and I'll open my business again. May God bless Joy FM and those who contribute.
Mattress, women mattress, any drilling machines,
I lost a lot of things in the flood. I lost my mattress, my drilling machine, and a lot of my clothes. God bless the donors of the money. With the money I have received, I would buy my drilling machine and my mattress.
I
lost all my belongings in the flood. My children's school books, their uniforms, everything. The money I have received will help me start a trade.
Red Cross officials coordinating the disbursement said they were overwhelmed by numbers turning up for support.
It was announced that multimedia has organized some funds and they've given it to Red Cross to disburse to the flood victims. Here, a lot of people are trooping in. We don't have their names on our sheets, and they are coming with all sort of, and it's making the whole exercise very tiring. And
I see. How are you going to handle these people whose names you don't have on your sheet?
Yes, most of them are coming from other hospitals like Kolebu 37. I don't have the list from Kolebu and then 37. So when they come, I just refer them to go back to the hospital and then talk to the hospital authority.
Is there anything we can do to help these ones as well?
If they go to the hospital, talk to the hospital authorities, and they go to Red Cross head office to submit their list, maybe, I don't know, maybe, if there is any assistance or any further explanation they will get from Red Cross head office.
Now, news coming in is that police in Mamponting are investigating GFP flag bearer Ikuya Donko over claims of fraud. Now, we're joined on the telephone line by my colleague John Tay. John, so what more can you tell us?
At Mamponting are currently investigating the founder and leader of Ghana Freedom Party for allegedly selling a cocoa farm that belongs to her family to one retired teacher by name John Kwekudia, who is a resident of Intonso here in Ashanti region. But what it is that Ikuya Donko sold the land to this retired teacher sometime in 2012 for 25,000 Ghana cedis. The man, I spoke to him yesterday, he claims Ikuya Donko showed him documents of proof showing that indeed he had ownership of the land. But we are now learning that on the documents, actually, you would see the signature of the opinion of Ikuya Donko's family, indeed transferring the land or the ownership of the land to Ikuya Donko. But now the opinion tells me there was no such agreement between him and Ikuya Donko. So it in a way makes this sort of a fraud case, if you will. And the man, upon noticing that he may have been defrauded by Ikuya Donko, reported the case to Mamponting police sometime last year, and police have been investigating the case since then. But they say they cannot make any further progress until they've had a statement from the opinion, indeed confirming that Ikuya Donko has no ownership of the land. It is still unclear where Ikuya Donko got the documents of proof from. So that is something that we are still trying to understand now.
Okay, so
yeah.
Very well.
Yeah.
Carry on, John.
Yes, exactly. So that is where we are now. And the man tells me in 2013, he gave the full sum of 25,000 Ghana cedis to Ikuya Donko, being the amount or the fee for the land, a 4-acre cocoa farmland in Obuasi here in Ashanti region. The man tells me she needed the money for her campaign activities and all of that. So the man who is the retired teacher, Kwekudia, has no access to the farmland now, nor has the money been repaid to him. So it's a bit confusing now. And
John,
the man, I can say, is in a state of a limbo now.
John, have you been able to contact Ikuya Donko herself or any representatives of her party?
Yes, that's right. Yesterday, speaking on one of our sister stations, Ishra FM, they have a program in the evening. She indeed confirmed that there was such a transaction between her and the retired teacher in the person of Kwekudia. But she is also sort of giving a different twist to the story. She says, indeed, the Busuapenyi of her family transferred the land to her. So she doesn't really understand why the Busuapenyi would come out now to say that he never authorized the sale of the land. And she is also asking for a forensic audit to be conducted on the thumbprint seen on the document to indeed confirm if that belongs to the Busuapenyi or not.
Okay.
And if indeed it belongs to him, then we can know that there was such an agreement and she would be free of any charges.
Okay, so John, you're gathering information. Thank you very much. That's John Tay from the Ashanti region, bringing us that news from the eastern region. Apologies there, bringing us that news about police in Mamponting investigating GFP party leader Ikuya Donko over claims of fraud in the sale of land title. Now, a 3-day Mo Ibrahim Governance Week to be celebrated in Accra has been launched. This year's edition has been slated between November 20 and 22. Now, my colleague Emmanuel is at the launch and joins me on the telephone. Emmanuel, so what can you report from the launch?
Well, Francisca, thank you very much. What I can say is that Ghana was chosen to host the 2014 edition of the Governance Weekend, but had to be rescheduled due to the Ebola scare to 2015. Activities that have been lined up to go through throughout the celebration weekend. The Friday, that is the 20th November of the beginning, the initial ceremony, will be done at the Accra International Conference Center, and that will be followed by Ibrahim leadership ceremony and then a cocktail. Then on the Saturday, 21st of November, at the same Accra International Conference Center, there will be a forum which has been themed African Cities. That is the Ibrahim Forum. That's the name given to it. And this year, it's been themed African Cities. And then on the same day, in the evening, there will be a musical concert. And that will be climaxed on the 22nd, which is the Sunday of November, at the Accra Sports Stadium with a football match between TP Mazembe of DR Congo and an all-star team from the Ghana Premier League. So this is what has been slated. This is what the programs that have been lined up for the 3-day weekend celebration.
Okay, thank you very much. That's Emmanuel Ante bringing us the details from the Mo Ibrahim event. You're watching Joy News today with me, Francisca Kakra-Forsen. We'll take a short break. Stay with us. We're talking business now. The partnership between Anglo Gold Ashanti and Rand Gold Resources aimed at redeveloping the Obuasi mine is expected to create over 3,500 jobs. The two mining giants last month signed a joint agreement involving an initial investment sum of about $6 million to revive the mine. Residents have since vowed to resist any attempt to sideline them with regards to employment opportunities. But Chief Executive of Rand Gold, Mark Bristol, tells Joy Business the entire business community of Obuasi stands to gain.
As gold miners in Ghana can ensure that the jewelry makers are supported with Ghanaian gold. We have similar programs that we've looked at, particularly in Mali, and we've learned a lot about doing that, and I'm certainly supportive of that in principle. We have a company called Kanka Musa in Mali, which supplies gold to the gold trade. That's the jewelers and the manufacturers of jewelry in the traditional jewelers. And it's not a lot of gold, but it makes sense to support that industry. We employ about 3,500 people in Kibali, all in, and probably a similar amount in our Lula-Gonkoto mine, which are both big mines. Somewhere around that eventually is what we'll employ.
It might come across as interesting, but it is something that should not be ruled out, especially for those who are following government expenditure. The country recently issued a $1 billion Eurobond, but it looks like it could undertake the exercise again. Why? George Rafe has more.
The decision to go back and issue another Eurobond will, however, be influenced by favorable market conditions. That is, if the U.S. Central Bank delays its decision to hike interest rates in their country, and also an improvement in what is called global cash, then Ghana could test the market again. This will also happen when the expected interest rates that will be paid on the bond reduces from the current range of 10% to 7% in the coming weeks. Some persons close to government say the funds that will be raised should not be seen as anything new. This is because the Finance Ministry got an approval from Parliament to raise up to $1.5 billion. So, having raised just $1 billion, there's still an opportunity to go back and raise the remaining $500 million. Sources say the decision to go back and take the remaining funds has become crucial because of the funding gap that has come about because of government's inability to raise all the $1.5 billion because of high interest rates on the international market. According to the Finance Ministry's original plan for the fourth Eurobond, $500 million was meant to pay previous bonds issued in dollars that will be maturing in 2017, whilst $1 billion will go to support projects outlined in the 2015 budget. However, with this challenge, government appears to be under some sort of pressure to look out for alternate funds to meet its financial obligations. This is because majority of the funds raised in the recent Eurobond could all be used to pay maturing debts.
Trade Minister Dr. Eko Spiogabra says government will introduce policies to sanction businesses that go in for imported products that can be made locally. Many businesses depend a lot on imports. Now, Trade Minister Dr. Eko Spiogabra, who has been touring local liquor manufacturing company GIHOC, tells Joy Business the move is a sure way to grow the local economy.
Hotels apparently in Ghana which consciously refuse to host to stock Ghanaian distilled products. And apparently there are some retail outlets also that apparently are doing the same. And so we are going to be on the lookout and the warpath for such institutions. And if they don't respond positively to a presidential directive, then there will be legislation that will compel them to do this.
Meanwhile, local businesses are struggling with capital in order to produce enough to meet local demand. But chairman of GIHOC Distilleries, Adekoka, spoke to Joy Business.
Well, the problem is capital, you know, especially this is also a state-owned company, right? So we don't have the largesse or we don't have the luxury of putting more capital in. If we're a private company, they are able to go and raise funds regardless of where the consequence. But we have to depend on government institutions like EDIF to give us the relevant funds to do our. So it's a challenge for us. The banks must be able to give us enough capital at competitive rates. But if they are giving you rates at 35%, it's difficult for you. So they should have a structure that with companies like this, you lend at maybe 12%, 12.5%, like EDIF is doing.
Quality Assurance Manager of GIHOC Distilleries, Ibrahim, however, says the main challenge to their operations is the state of the roads around the North Industrial Area.
Yeah, here currently the main challenge is the road. Yeah, the road network. As you can see, there is construction work going on. It is not the best though, but we are managing the situation. Yeah, and it has left the whole place very dusty. Yes. Apart from that, the position as it is closer to the circle construction going on, we have flood situations anytime it rains here.
That's it for business. There's more coming up. You're watching Joy News Today. President John Mahama continues his tour of the country. He's currently in the central region, and Richard Kojo Nyako, our correspondent, is monitoring his trip and joins us on the telephone. Richard, so what has the president been up to?
To move from Elmina, where he's been addressing the fishermen, to the Central Regional House of Peace, and then to a forum that has been organized for him to speak on at the Center for National Culture. But first, at Elmina, he's been interacting with the fisher folk. He's been assuring them of the government's resolve to ensure that they stay well in their fishing activity. And he has been responding to issues about premise fuel and outboard motors. This came as a result of some concerns some of the fishermen who are raised about the inferior quality of the outboard motors that have been given fishermen. According to the fishermen, the outboard motors they use for only 1 year, contrary to what they were using for like 4 or 5 years. But the president responded and said that, well, nowadays there are bigger vessels, and so the bigger vessels should also correspond to the outboard motor, the strength of the outboard motor they use. So you cannot use a 15 horsepower for a bigger vessel. And so that is what the president has been telling. According to him, they got the outboard motors from Yamaha, and they are the best. So the fishermen should also check their teeth and the way they use all of these things. Apart from that one, the fishermen have just been singing praises onto the president that he is going to win the 2016 elections and so on and so forth. So that's what the president has done.
Okay, President John Mahama in the Central Region. You heard Richard Kojo Nyako. Thank you very much. This is Joy News Today. Coming up next is sports. Well, you can log on to myjoyonline.com for more news. Thank you so much for your company. I'm Francisca Kakra-Forsen. Bye-bye.